This is part one of driving in snow. Today I'm going to talk about preparing the car and yourself before you drive in these snowy, icy conditions. And tomorrow in part two, I'm going to talk about car control. Now the first thing you've got to do is get rid of all the snow off of your windows, roof and bonnet. And you may be wondering, why do I need to get rid of the snow off of my roof and bonnet? And that's because when you brake, all the snow from your roof could fall onto your windscreen, meaning you won't be able to see where you're going. And when you're driving, the air can push the snow from your bonnet to your windscreen, again, meaning you won't be able to see where you're going. But not only that, if you've got loads of snow on the roof, when you're driving, the air can push the snow off the back of your car, causing a hazard for cars behind. So clearing your car properly of snow won't only help you, but it will help other drivers too. Now I normally clear my car of snow using a squeegee of about that big, but it's in the boot and my boot is frozen closed, so I can't open that at the moment. So I'm going to have to use good gloves, hands and arms. You could use a broom, but I'm far too precious about my paintwork to do that, as brooms are used on the floor, they collect grit. I'm not going to start wiping grit over my car. So now the arduous job of removing snow begins. Start from the top and make your way down. Don't forget to remove the snow from your lights as well to make sure you can see and people can see you. Well, I've managed to get the squeegee out of the boot. These are brilliant at removing large amounts of snow and water from your car very quickly. There'll be a link to a similar product in the description. Now the problem I have today is that it rained a little bit the night before and then froze. So underneath the snow, it's completely frozen. And usually when you remove snow, it's not frozen underneath, at least from the part of the world that I'm from. So I'm going to make a video, which I'll link to in the top right hand corner of the screen once I've made it, on different ways you can de-ice your car. But it's very, very important to try and get rid of all the ice off of your wipers before you get going, because A, you can damage your blade when you turn it on and they're frozen, and B, they're not really going to work when they're frozen. Well, this is about as frozen as I've ever seen my car. What happened yesterday, it didn't actually rain, it snowed slightly, and that snow melted and turned to slush, and then it froze, and then more snow fell on top of that. So when I'm removing this snow, it's actually encased in ice, my car, and that's why the windscreen wipers are fully stuck. I will be making a video, as I said, on how to de-ice your car, but something I want to mention is make sure you don't try and use your windscreen wipers to remove snow. Because what can happen is, there's a little gutter in here, which stops water getting on the side windows, but that collects snow, and as the wiper moves up and compresses that snow, there's only so much it can compress it. And what can happen is your wiper arm can bend slightly. And that's happened to me once. I accidentally knocked the windscreen wiper stalk as I got into the car when my car was covered in snow, and my wipers went up. They didn't make it all the way and they bent slightly, ever so slightly. You couldn't see the bend, but it was enough that the wiper blade would not sit correctly on the window. And from that day onwards in that car, the windscreen wipers never worked very well. So always clear the snow by hand, try and get rid of the ice, and just use the wipers for water, which is what they're designed for. Ta-da! As if by magic, no snow on the windows. Don't worry about that little bit of snow on the roof. It's very thin and frozen on. That's not going to cause huge amounts of issues. I don't have large amounts of snow on the roof like that car or my Mazda over there. And when I said you shouldn't use your wipers on snow earlier, I didn't mean when it's snowing. Of course, when it's snowing, turn your windscreen wipers on. Just don't use them to clear large amounts of snow that have built up over time. And from inside the car, you can see visibility is absolutely fabulous. Let's try the wipers. Yep, they work absolutely fine. Get your wiper blades from wiperblades.co.uk. They get the correct ones sent to you. They're fast and they're very reasonably priced. Link in the description. When driving in the snow, it's a good idea to carry a second pair of shoes with you, because you're likely to be wearing wellies, and driving in wellies is not a good idea, or any kind of large boot suitable for walking in the snow, because your clutch control in the snow is going to be essential. And if you've got very small ankle movement because you're wearing a boot that goes up your leg, that's going to make this process a lot harder. Most cars have a rear heated window. This symbol means rear heated window. turn that on, and that'll prevent ice and steam building up on your rear window. And this symbol here directs the fans to your front and side windows. Directing the air to the front and side windows will again prevent steam from building up and ice from building up. What temperature you have your car at is up to you, down to comfort. There are advantages for hot and cold, but it's important to have your air conditioning on if you have air conditioning, because that certainly reduces the amount of steam that can build up on the inside of your windows. And if you think air conditioning is just for cooling the air, well, that's not true. You can actually get hot air from the vents with the air conditioning on as well. But what air conditioning does is it dries out the air. So all that hot air that comes out of your nose and mouth, which is full of moisture as you breathe, gets dried out so the moisture doesn't condense on your windows. It's also very important to consider how you dress and what you take with you when you're driving in bad conditions, because the chances of an accident and the chances of breaking down are far greater. And if you break down, it's going to take longer for a recovery service to come and get you than normal, because more people are going to need the recovery service, so the waiting time is going to be longer in these conditions. And if your engine's not working, it can get chuffing cold. I have my own experience. In 2018, beginning of 2018, I was at Cadwell Park driving around the race circuit, and my car developed a misfire, and I thought, oh, don't like this, let's get off the circuit, let's cut this track day short and go home. And on the way home, not long after leaving Cadwell Park actually, the engine decided to cut out and I couldn't get it started. And I had to wait 3 hours in very cold conditions to be recovered. After the car broke down, then it started snowing, which wasn't very good timing. And also I was with my girlfriend, and we'd only been seeing each other for about 3 months then. So that was a great impression for her to what track days are like. So carrying warm clothes, food, drink is a great idea, because you could be stranded, and those warm clothes will be appreciated when you're freezing and shivering in a cold car that won't start. It's a good idea to relieve yourself using the lavatory before you go for a drive as well, because when it's cold, humans always need to pee. So if you get that done first, you're not going to be crossing your legs as you're trying to do clutch control. Whether or not you should use headlights is the same as always. If you think the visibility is poor enough that you need your headlights, put them on, or if it's a nice, actually quite a bright day today like it is now, there's probably not much need for them. Certainly if snow is coming down, use your headlights, because visibility can get very bad in a blizzard. One of the best ways you can prepare for winter and driving on snow and ice is to have winter tyres fitted to your car. They can be expensive. A middle figure for them is around 500 sterling pounds. However, they do make a big difference. I remember a test about 10 years ago, 2 identical Seat Leons, one with winter tyres, one with summer tyres, and the test was to see how long it would take them to go from 30 miles an hour to 0, to stop, the stopping distance basically between the 2 tyres. By the time the car with winter tyres had stopped, the car with summer tyres was still doing 25 miles an hour. And the car with summer tyres took 3.5 times longer to stop than the car with winter tyres. So although winter tyres are quite expensive, they make a huge difference to how much control you have over your car on snow and ice. Another option is to try all season tyres. They're not quite as good in the summer as summer tyres, and not quite as good in the winter as winter tyres. They try to go for a middle ground. They have mixed reviews, but it may be something you want to look into next time you're buying tyres. I live in a place called East Anglia. It's a region of the UK which happens to be the warmest, driest part of the UK. And I haven't seen snow like this in 3 years. It's rare that we get very prolonged wintry conditions, so just about everybody drives around on summer tyres all year round. It's very rare that I see winter tyres around here. Something else you want to consider is which direction your car is pointing in when you park. Where I live now, it makes no difference because it's quite open here and doesn't matter which way I park, the whole of the car gets covered in ice fairly evenly. But where I used to live, my parking space had a wooden fence on the end of it. And if I'd park my nose as close as I could to that wooden fence, often I wouldn't get ice on the front window, whereas if I reversed in, I would. So things like that can also make your life a bit easier. Well, I hope this video helps. If you think it does, please give it a thumbs up. Tomorrow I'll be releasing part 2 of this video, which is all about driving on the snow and ice. In the meantime, why not check out wiperblades.co.uk if you need some new wiper blades. I think they're fantastic because every time I've ordered from them, they have delivered the correct blades for my car, and also they're very reasonably priced. It's very hard to beat their prices actually. There's a link via the description if you're interested. If you want my future videos, please subscribe, and until the next one, cheerio.